Hello and welcome to a very wet qualifying here at the Circuit Paul Ricard for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League French Grand Prix. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for our audio issues. They are beyond my control at this point. I'm sure you're aware by now that you can hear the background, the ambient noise, the paddock noise, but you can't hear the car engines. Well, this is a common problem that has happened and that has plagued these broadcasts for quite some time now. Well, since this season started, so it's just a bug in the game that still needs to be patched. So until then, it's beyond my control, and I apologize that it's happening. Believe me, it's probably driving me crazier than it is you. But anyway, welcome to a very wet qualifying session. As you see Tamworth Fox right there in the Racing Point machine. No driver has yet set a lap, but this is going to be a very interesting qualifying session indeed. Tamworth Fox now starting his flying lap. Yeah, these audio issues, they are just going to have to stay. I do believe it will be fixed for the race. That's how it's went in the past. Hopefully that pattern continues. But certainly, the rain here is going to put a spanner in things, and already we have TB who is retired from this qualifying session, so he's not even going to set a lap. We might see a very unusual pole sitter here today. Of course, while we are watching qualifying, I want to wait until he gets out onto the track, but I want to welcome Cliffy7765, who is making his debut here for the Invictus Racing League, for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League Series, excuse me. He is driving a McLaren today, however, he is still in the pits there, as you can see, so we'll have to wait for him to come out. Right now we are watching Zyman118. He is on his outlap. No driver has yet set a time. And just as I say that, Yas in that Renault sets a 1:44.645 here at the Circuit Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. LR Archie 1:43.522. That's enough for the provisional pole at the moment. Still eyes on Zyman, but we're going to go up to Tamworth Fox, who is probably going to be the next driver to set a lap, riding on board with the quietest race car in the world. What do you know? Going around these S's, almost goes off the track, but he keeps it. He keeps it right there in line. Very slippy out there. Gets a little loose coming out of that corner, but that is to be expected. I mean, these are very wet conditions. I'm surprised they're not on full wets at this point. Of course, if you can make it on intermediates, you might as well. They're definitely faster. Circuit Paul Ricard is probably one of my favorite tracks to drive on this game. Well, on F1 2018, anyway. On F1 2019, I've not yet made it this far in my career. But it's probably just one of my favorite tracks, regardless, to drive around, because it's just so fun, and it's so fast, and, you know, I'm sure many other drivers do, make mistakes a lot, and this wide runoff area that you see really, really saves me from having to use a flashback at times. So now you see Foxy Red has set the third fastest time of a 1:44.646. Just a thousandth of a second off of Yas's time. A 1:44.645 to a 1:44.646, but they're all chasing LR Archie, who so far is the provisional pole sitter with a 142.888. If you're just joining us on Twitch, welcome. I apologize for the audio issues. Nothing I can do. Believe me, it's just a game issue. It's a very wet qualifying session, as you can tell. Zyman with the fourth fastest time right now with a 1:45. Tamworth Fox is who we're watching at the moment, as you saw him get loose just a moment ago and almost took out the Pirelli tire. Or the Pirelli tire sign, excuse me. We're going to ride on board with him, actually, because if he takes another wild ride, I really want to see it, as now we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. And with a wet qualifying session, that could be either a driver slowing down to let someone by, or someone could have flat out gone off the track. It actually looks like that Tamworth Fox is catching an Alfa Romeo. That could be either LR Archie or Foxy Red, one of the two. Going to check. I believe it is actually Foxy Red. No, it is LR Archie, currently our provisional pulser, who goes wide out of that corner. This is what I was talking about just a minute ago. These runoff areas really save a driver from mistake. There's not a gravel pit that'll really screw you up. There's not a wall that you're just going to plow into. It really helps a lot. There you see Yas going into the pits. Only 4 drivers setting a time thus far. Tamworth Fox goes a little wide, trying to get into the pits. There's X-Rossi 21 in the Haas, number 14 machine, who cuts the corner there. That's not going to count for a qualifying lap at all. Of course, now it looks like the rain is starting to let up. Look for drivers to come out here and on soft or medium tires here in just a moment. In fact, Scopefielder right now looks like he is selected anyway the soft tires, but he is still in the pits. There goes Rossi in the pits, undoubtedly going to change his tires. No use for intermediates anymore. So now LR Archie has also selected the medium tire. Not out on the track just yet. Of course, with TB retiring from this session, he's not going to be able to set a lap. Now it looks like there are a few drivers going out on the track. Here momentarily we will check in on them. It is White Fountain and CPI Alex, the Toro Rosso and the Racing Point machine. CPI Alex, as you can see, is on the soft tires, while White Fountain has elected to go out on the hards at the moment. Currently the only 2 drivers taking their out lap. Now, I'm not very familiar with what a fast time is in this F1 Equal League. So, when these drivers come around to finally complete their flying lap, their first flying lap anyway, I really want to see how it compares to, Archie's 142 up there and Yas's 144. And we'll see just how much faster this track is in the dry versus the wet. Few drivers now taking their outlap. Aaron JS 1992 on the hard tires out there in the Ferrari. Zyman 118 in that Red Bull. He is also out there. He's on soft tires. He's going to try to improve his time from a 145. Our provisional pole sitter at the moment, LR Archie, he's out there on hard tires. On board now with Zyman, 118. But now we're going to check in on White Fountain. who is now currently completing his first flying lap. Just behind him, he has the Renault of Scopefielder. Of course, in qualifying, you're not vying for track position, so I'm not looking for any aggressive moves here. However, Scopefielder might pass him if Scopefielder is on the softs versus White Fountain being on the hard, so Scopefielder might pass him before the lap is over. Of course, it looks like now Scopefielder has backed off to give himself some space. White Fountain just keeps it in the lines. Very nice off of that corner. Gonna ride on board with him through these S's, or out of these S's rather. He's going around to complete his first flying lap as he enters the DRS zone and activates the DRS. Where will he line up? He is our pole sitter, at least at the moment, with a 133.438, a significant difference over the 142.888 that Archie set in the wet. Now going to check on Archie. Riding on board with him, it looks like he just started his flying lap just moments ago. Very smooth through these corners, making that track as wide as possible to try to get the best entry into these corners. White Fountain still the only driver so far to set a lap on the dry, but that will change very shortly. It's now IXE Fun has now set the fastest lap of the session in the Rocket Williams racing machine, a 132.989, but LR Archie now with a 131.837. Archie back on top of the board. White Fountain now down to third, 133.438. Yas on his outlap right now. He currently has a 144.645. Mind you, that was in the wet. Really, any time above the 140s that you see on the board right now, that was set in wet conditions. As now we're going to look at Yas. He's just started his flying lap. And flying, he is indeed. Riding on board with him, he's got a nice exit out of that corner. Going under the Rolex banners. Very nice exit. This track is just so very windy. It's just fun to watch. As now Tamworth Fox has set the fastest time. He's on soft tires. That is a 130.818. CPI Alex second with a 131.261. Both of those in Racing Point cars. LR Archie now down to third with a 131.837. And White Fountain, the first driver to set a lap on the dry tire in dry conditions, now down to sixth with a 133.438 still. Currently watching Yas, who will just momentarily be completing his lap, his first flying lap in dry conditions. He's elected to take the medium tires there, as you can see. Flying by the pit entrance. Through the DRS zone. He is third fastest at the moment with a 131.478. Tamworth Fox still the professional pole sitter. We have 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. And we still have 4 drivers who have not yet set a time, 5 if you count TB, who retired from the session. So he will undoubtedly start at the back of the pack. And I want to take this moment to welcome Cliffy7765. As I mentioned earlier, he is making his debut here in the F1 Equal League for Invictus Racing. He's in the McLaren. As you can see, he's just now starting his flying lap. We're going to take a look at him. We're going to watch this whole lap as a welcoming present to Cliffy7765. very quick through those corners, but too quick, as when he gets out onto the exit, he just goes a little too wide, hits the curb, and then he spins. Not a good flying lap for Cliffy. Of course, he's got time to make it back around and maybe go for another lap. The rain really put a spanner into things, so a lot of drivers may not get to set a time. It will be close, but if Cliffy can just, maybe pick up the pace a little bit, push really hard, I think he might be able to make it back around, but we'll have to see. It's going to be close for him. As of right now, though, it appears as though Tamworth Fox has a comfortable hold on that pole position with a 1:30.818. Of course, we're watching Scopefielder right now. He's just now started his flying lap. He's elected to take the medium tires, so it looks like medium is the way to go. At least a lot of people think so. Of course, maybe these guys on the soft tires, maybe they know something we don't. Riding on board with Scopefielder now. This will be his only lap in this qualifying session. Aaron JS also in the process of completing a lap. So every driver except for one, which is TB, will have made a time. Cliffy, not the time he wanted with a 150.059. But, hey, it's okay. I mean, mistakes happen, and the rain really put a spanner into things. Scopefielder now third fastest with a 1:31.392. That puts Yas down to fourth, Foxy Red in fifth, LR Archie in the sixth position. Right now we're watching Aaron JS 1992 in that Ferrari. He will soon complete his lap. See where he winds up on the board. LR Archie now the second fastest qualifier with a 1:30.902. Still everybody chasing that 1:30.818 set by Tamworth Fox in the Racing Point machine. As Aaron JS crosses the line, where will he end up? He's making alright, I guess a fool was made out of me. That was his out lap, apparently. So now he is starting his timed lap. And there's contact. Unless the AI took over. I don't know what happened there, but, I mean, it's just qualifying. It's not the race, so there's no points implications there. There you have it, though. Tamworth Fox, officially your pole sitter for the French Grand Prix, with a 1:30.818, the only one to hit the to hit the .8 region. LR Archie, 1:30.902. CPI Alex in third with a 1:31.261. Now, I've just pulled up the point standings here just to refresh my memory. And Scopefielder, he is your leader right now, 13 points ahead of Foxy Red. So Scopefielder, where he's starting third today, or I believe he was starting third. We'll see in just a moment, but where he is starting third, he already has a very good chance at increasing that lead today. Right now we're just looking down the F1 paddock. waiting for all the drivers to ready up. Soon we will begin our formation lap, and then we will begin the race. So, turning to the Twitch chat, turning to our viewers, I want to ask you, any early predictions? Go ahead, use the chat. Let's communicate here. Do you have any early predictions for who is going to win this race? We have approximately, 15, 16 drivers? I haven't counted. So out of all of those drivers, who is going to win? Do you think we're going to have a surprise winner? And how much do you think the rain affected the qualifying? And is it going to maybe hurt drivers by maybe not having more practice on the dry? We're readying up here in just a moment. There are the cars on the grid. And thankfully, the audio issues are fixed. We can now hear the engines roaring. And that really makes me feel a lot better. So going down the grid just once more, your points leader of Scopefielder, I'm corrected, now is starting in the 4th position. Right now you see Tamworth Fox in 1st. Followed by LR Archie in the 2nd position in that Alfa Romeo. Another racing point of CPI Alex in 3rd. Scopefielder in the 4th position in the Renault. Yas in 5th. Also in a Renault. Foxy Red in that Alfa Romeo in the 6th position. X Rossi in the Haas machine in 7th. 8th is IXE Fun in the Williams. 9th is Simon in the Red Bull. Toro Rosso, White Fountain in 10th. M. Doran in the Ferrari in 11th. Cliffy D making his debut here in the McLaren. TB2307191 in the Toro Rosso, and Aaron JS1992 rounding it up. All the drivers swerving, trying to get heat in those tires, trying to get heat in those brakes. This is such a beautiful circuit. The circuit Paul Ricard is. I truly love the design and the colors that they chose for this circuit. I know it's purely aesthetics, but it's just something really nice to look at least while you're, waiting for the formation lap to complete. Of course, during the race, if you're looking at the aesthetics and looking at the pretty red and blue colors on the outside, on the runoff areas here at the track, then it's either a really boring race or you need to get your priorities straight, man, because, you don't want to miss racing. Come on. At least I know I don't. I'm always on the edge of my seat watching these races, and even when I'm watching the F1 races, the real F1 races, on my phone, I'm always just sitting there. I'm just glued to it. As all the drivers line up on the grid, momentarily we will start this race. As there you hear the engines revving and the lights are on. We are about to start the F1 Equal League French Grand Prix, brought to you by the Invictus Racing League. 5 red lights, no red lights, green flag is in the air, and here we go, going down into turn 1, and Tamworth Fox gets a good start. So does CPI Alex, also in a Racing Point machine. There for a moment, it looks like we're almost 4 wide going into turn 1, but we are not. Definitely 2 wide, though, back there with the Alfa Romeo. Tamworth Fox still in front. LR Archie in second. Third is CPI Alex, your points leader of Scopefielder, in third. Right outside of him is Yas, and CPI Alex now getting shuffled back through the pack. All the way back down to 5th already is CPI Alex, and now he might be dropping back down to 6th. I'm not sure if there's any damage on there or not. Riding on board with him now as he is right on the back of Yas, but he had for a moment the Alfa Romeo Foxy Red on his inside. Couldn't do anything with it. Now the drivers have finally decided to go nose to tail as LR Archie is making a move for the lead on the outside, and he clears Tamworth Fox going into this corner. Very amazing. That was such an amazing pass, and I think Tamworth Fox might have let Archie go. Realized, hey, we don't need to do this, because he knew he could try to make a pass on the outside going into the next corner, and he does not clear him this time. but he is right there. Adam going to ride on board with Tamworth Fox while he is going right after Archie in that Alfa Romeo. Just behind Tamworth Fox is Scopefielder, who's made his way up to third, followed by Yoss in fourth, CPI Alex still in the fifth position, Foxy Red in sixth, X Rossi in seventh. Eighth is TB, IXE Fun in ninth, 10th is Cliffy, 7765. As now it looks like IXE Fun is already winning to the pits. Not sure what happened there, but IXE Fun already making his first pit stop of the race. And White Fountain making a pit stop as well. Perhaps there was an incident between the two of them. I didn't see anything happening. As now we see Foxy Red making a move on CPI Alex for the fifth position, and he clears him. Riding on board now with Foxy Red as he chases down Yoss in the fourth position. Everybody chasing LRRG right now. Looking at all the tires that all the drivers have fitted. LRRG on the mediums. Surprised that the mediums were faster than the softs here early on, but hey, they are apparently. However, there's only two drivers out there on the softs right now, and that is the Racing Point machines of Tamworth Fox and CPI Alex. Going back to check on the battle for the lead, except Yoss spun out, coming out of the corner, and now Yoss has been disconnected. I cannot check and see what has happened, but I just saw the yellow Renault just completely go to the right, and I was trying to switch to see what happened to him, but as you see, his name is grayed out, and I cannot, but Yoss out of this race, and that is a big development. Already early on, just lap 2, and already Yoss is out of this race. Scopefielder right there in the third position. LRRG set the fastest lap time of the session so far that time around. He's still being chased by Tamworth Fox. A little bit more of a gap has grown, but not much of one. As Tamworth Fox is very determined to get that lead back from Archie, if at all possible. Of course, if I were Tamworth Fox, I would try to conserve my tires more than pass Archie, because those soft tires are not going to last very long. But if you can get them to last maybe an extra lap or two than expected and not lose a lot of time, then that could be the difference, because you might just have a little bit fresher tires there at the end. Now Tamworth Fox making a move on the inside of Archie. Is he going to make it? There is a little bit of contact between Tamworth Fox and Archie. Not sure if there's any damage on either of the cars, but Tamworth Fox is back in the lead. He clears Archie. Now going to ride on board with that Alfa Romeo as he is chasing back that Racing Point machine of Tamworth Fox, going to try to make a move. Of course, not in these sweeping corners. Waiting for a braking zone or DRS zone, better yet. It is lap 3 now. Checking on Scopefielder because he is right on the bumper of LRRG. As he was there for a minute, Tamworth Fox now the fastest driver of the session so far. 1:35.651 is his lap time. Those soft tires really coming in handy as now LRRG is battling back and took the lead away from Tamworth Fox. LRRG back in first position. Meanwhile, Tamworth Fox getting an enormous amount of pressure from the Renault of Scopefielder. Scopefielder all on the back of that Racing Point machine, but now Racing Point is back on the bumper of the Alfa Romeo. We're going to ride on board with Tamworth Fox, because sooner or later, I just feel it, he is going to make a move for Archie, and I want to see every bit of it. I want to get the best view in the house, and what better view than right above the driver. Going through these fast sweeping corners here. Of course, no way to make a move here. At least not at the distance he is from Archie, but he is trying to use the slipstream. Of or at least set himself up to use the slipstream on the straightaways to maybe try to get a little closer to Archie. But I think that Tamworth Fox's tires are now starting to fade. 3 laps in this race, plus a qualifying lap or 2, so he has approximately 5 laps on those soft tires right now. They're probably starting to wear depending on how hard he's ran them. DRS did not benefit Tamworth Fox that time around, at least not to get him close enough to pass Archie. I do believe it is the tires, as you see Scopefielder starting to close the gap even more. Granted, Scopefielder is really good here in the first sector of this track, I'm noticing, but Scopefielder's even getting some pressure from behind from Foxy Red, also in an Alfa Romeo. So in the top 5, we have 2 Alfa Romeos, 2 Racing Point machines, the second being CPI Alex in the 5th position, and a Renault, the points leader of Scopefielder. Foxy Red, of course, in the 2nd position by 13 points. So we're watching a points battle right now, as well as a battle for position. Foxy Red trying to get an advantage over Scopefielder in the points race. Granted, we are very early in the season, but it's never too early to score points. Foxy Red going maybe just a little wide, but it looked like he got some momentum off of that corner, got really close to Scopefielder. He's just taking a different line through these corners than Scopefielder is, and it might actually benefit him as he's trying to maybe look underneath Scopefielder there for a moment. But he's just not in a position to pass him just yet. However, now we're on the front straightaway and they are in the DRS zone. Will Foxy Red be able to make a move going into turn 1, or will he even be close enough? No, but Scopefielder is making a move, or he was at least for a moment, on Tamworth Fox, as now CPI Alex has went into the pit. He has surrendered the 5th position, so give the 5th position to our debut first-timer, Cliffy7765. He's on the hard tires, 5 laps on those hard tires, Cliffy is. So he's probably trying to go most of the race on those hard tires, then maybe pit for mediums or softs later. We'll keep an eye on his strategy, but right now we are watching this battle between Scopefielder and Tamworth Fox, and also Foxy Red in the mix. Scopefielder passes Tamworth Fox. That's a few extra points for him. Now going back to take a look at Foxy Red. I think there was a little bit of contact between him and Tamworth Fox. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But we're riding on board with Foxy Red. I'm surprised that he hasn't gotten by Tamworth Fox yet. Tamworth Fox's tires have got to be fading by now. Surely they are. You can just hear the cars bottoming out through the corners, just that scraping sound. Here's Tamworth Fox, of course, in the 3rd position, giving chase to Scopefielder in the Renault. It looks like Scopefielder has got the fastest car at the moment. In fact, he does with a 1:35.443. He has set the fastest lap of the session so far. He is giving chase to Archie, and here very shortly he will be putting a lot of pressure on him. Foxy Red now went around Tamworth Fox. You saw it just behind there. Foxy Red now moves into 3rd position. Tamworth Fox may be regretting those soft tires, but he's held his own, I'll say that much. 6 laps in the race on those soft tires, plus another 1 or 2 in qualifying. Those tires, they are begging to get off that car very, very shortly. Rossi 21, he has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, undoubtedly for corner cutting. Stewards don't like it when you cut the corners. Granted, I do believe some of the rules are a little too strict, but I am not in control of the FIA. For that matter, the FIA is not in control of this racing league, but you understand what I mean. The real-life implications on rules have an effect on this game. Scopebuilder closing that gap just a little bit, though. Almost down to an even half second behind Archie. He was a little bit closer last time around, but not by much. He's probably trying to save his stuff. He's probably not trying to push it too hard. I think Scopebuilder has a faster car. I don't think he has to worry about taking position right now, because he is there. He's within striking distance. He just doesn't need to push hard at the moment. You know, it's lap 8 of 27. There's plenty of time to make up ground. And besides, what he can do right now is just ride behind Archie and figure out where he's weak compared to him. You know, where is Scopebuilder stronger than Archie? Where is Archie stronger than Scopebuilder? That way he can set up the pass when he feels it appropriate. And he can really just kind of get an idea of, you know, Archie's driving here today. Both cars making that track very wide, driving it hard, as Archie is, I think he is feeling the pressure from Scope. Meanwhile, Scope looks, well, his driving anyway looks fairly relaxed. He's not right up on the curves. Meanwhile, it looks like Archie is kind of driving it to the edge. Coming down the front straightaway here. Scopebuilder has went into the pits. No, excuse me, Tamworth Fox has went into the pits. So Tamworth Fox in the pits, taking what will probably be the hard tires. We'll have to see. In fact, yes, it is the hard tires, as he's going to rejoin this race. In what position will he rejoin? There he makes the slow drive down pit road. Coming out, he will be in the 10th position, right ahead of IXC Fun. Going back to the lead now. LR Archie, 0.9 seconds ahead of Scopebuilder. 2.5 seconds behind them is Foxy Red in the Alfa Romeo. 4 seconds behind Foxy Red is Clippy 7765, Aaron JS 1992 in 5th. Those drivers have yet to pit. Of course, Clippy on the hard tires. We are watching his strategy here today. Right on board with Aaron here. It looks like he's maybe getting a run on Clippy. Going through these long, fast, sweeping corners. We're going to see what happens here. Can he gain any ground at all? Maybe a little bit. Now going down the front straightaway and in the DRS zone. I believe Aaron is close enough for the DRS at the moment. Of course, we won't be watching this battle for too long, as it's starting to spread out, and Scopebuilder is very slowly starting to gain on LRRG. He had it for a moment down to an even half a second. Now it's up to 0.785 seconds. Of course, the top 8 drivers have yet to make a pit stop. Tamworth Fox has a 3-second time penalty now for multiple warnings. That will put a spanner in things, as Tamworth Fox was one of the front runners here. Apparently there was one corner cut too many, and the stewards felt it necessary to give him a time penalty. Scopebuilder really not decreasing that gap anymore. He's keeping Archie right there within striking distance, but he's just not trying to decrease the gap, or he's trying and he doesn't have the tires to do it. But as I said, you know, it's lap 10 of 27, still very early to be making a lot of risky moves. So the best thing to do is just keep Archie in your sights if you're Scopebuilder. And if you're Archie, try to stay away from Scopebuilder without burning your stuff up. If I'm going to say things simply put, easier said than done. That's what needs to happen. LR Archie now the fastest, 135.262, fastest lap of the session. Give it to Archie. So now it looks like Aaron JS is in the pits. They're right on board with Scopebuilder here for just a moment. See how he gets off of this corner. Does he gain on Archie? In fact, no, Archie increases the gap between them. Going back to look at Foxy Red on board with him, and he can just barely see those cars in front of him. Cliffy, on the other hand, can barely see any cars in front of him. He's in the 4th position. Rossi, of course, in 5th, getting a lot of heat from TV and the Toro Rosso. TV might be able to make a move going into this next corner here. He's getting close. I'm not sure if he's going to work. In fact, he does go on the inside of Rossi. There is a little bit of contact, but TV gets away. I don't think Rossi has any wing damage there. That was just minor contact between the two. That was just purely racing, really. Again, these drivers have yet to make a pit stop as well. So does Zyman 118 in the 7th position. And now there is a battle for the lead. In fact, no, there was not. Scopebuilder is making his first pit stop of the race. But the way the pit entry is designed, the scoring, if you're close enough, if the second place car is close enough to the first place car, it momentarily puts them ahead. The scoring does. It's just really weird. It's just how the pit road is designed here. But no matter, Scopebuilder will rejoin this race in what looks to be the 6th position, right ahead of Zyman 118. In fact, no, Zyman will pass Scopebuilder. Scopebuilder in the 7th position right now. He has taken the hard tires. He probably will pass Zyman here momentarily. Zyman on the medium tires. Pulling away maybe a little bit from Scopebuilder, but I don't know, we'll have to see what happens here. Of course, Zyman still needs to pit. Scopebuilder, one of the first of the front runners to pit here today. The first being Tamworth Fox, who is in the 8th position. Scopebuilder getting the slipstream off of Zyman, going into this next corner, but he passes him and clears him with relative ease. As M. Doran has retired from the session, he will suffer a DNF here today. Bad luck for M. Doran. Not sure what happened, but unfortunate for him here. Going to take a look at the battle for the lead. As Archie has decided to pit, he will make his first pit stop of the day. That will give Foxy Red the lead. And he inherits it now as LR Archie now down to the 2nd position. Pulling into his pit box. We'll see where he rejoins the race. LR Archie making the slow drive down pit road. Now out of pit lane, he does, in fact, come out in front of Scopebuilder. That is amazing. LR Archie comes out in front of Scopebuilder. I actually expected, for some reason, Scopebuilder to be ahead of Archie. But this does really look like what it was earlier. However, LR Archie, you saw it right there. He had a corner cut, 3-second time penalty for Archie. That is really going to put a spanner into things, as he is much, much closer to Scopebuilder than 3 seconds. So we're going to have to check back on that lead, as right now X Rossi in the 3rd position. He is on hard tires. Cliffy 7765, as I've said, making his debut here today. He is in the 2nd position in just his first race in the F1 Equal League. Congratulations to Cliffy. Granted, he is 12 laps on hard tires, has not pitted yet, but a decent showing so far. Foxy Red, a very decent showing for him, as he is leading right now, 12 laps on his medium tires. Good job to him. But look for him to pit momentarily, I'd say in the next few laps. In fact, no, look for him to pit right now, because he is going in pit road. And that surrenders the lead, at least for the moment, to the McLaren of Cliffy 7765. His first race in the Equal League, and Cliffy is now leading this race. Foxy Red, meanwhile, in the pits, getting the hard tires put on. He's probably going to the end of the race on those tires. X Rossi in the Haas machine now in second, LR Archie in third, Scopebuilder in fourth, Foxy Red, where will he rejoin this race? He will rejoin in the 5th position, just ahead of Tamworth Fox, but only just, as Tamworth Fox going into turn 1 is fairly close to Foxy Red. 1.6 seconds at the end of the day when it comes down to it. Foxy Red comes out ahead of Tamworth Fox. Now going back to the lead momentarily, but first we're going to take a look at the battle between LR Archie and Scopebuilder. Really not much of a battle at this point, but they are nonetheless just driving at this point, just racing, just really conserving their tires because they know that the 2 drivers ahead of them still need to pit. Rossi, of course, in the Haas machine, he is in the 2nd position. First place is the number 43 McLaren of Cliffy, 7765, 11 seconds ahead of Rossi. That's a decent gap that Cliffy has there. However, he would probably rejoin this race in about the 7th or 8th position if he pitted right now. And that's just unavoidable, really, because that's where he was running before. But with these hard tires, if he pits, if he can make them last long enough to where maybe he can pit for soft tires, then maybe we'll see. Maybe he will be able to make his way up through the pack just a little bit. It's an interesting strategy. Of course, Cliffy, he did not set a qualifying time that he really wanted, and now you see he has a 3-second time penalty, so very unfortunate for him. But he set a 150 in qualifying after he spun. Actually, he spun in this corner right here. Right there, he got the Rolex runoff area. He got the curb, and he just spun just a little bit. So he didn't get to make a time that he wanted. There's LR Archie now making his way through the field and passing Rossi, and now Scopebuilder is also going to pass Rossi. At least here in a moment. Scopebuilder goes just a little bit wide. He has the DRS, though. Nothing Rossi can do. And Scopebuilder is looking inside, looking. They are side by side, wheel to wheel going into this corner. Scopebuilder on the inside, and he clears Rossi, moves Scopebuilder into the 3rd position. Rossi back down to 4th. Now, Archie and Scopebuilder, this is the battle for the lead here. Because Cliffy, he's leading right now. He is 11 seconds ahead of these drivers, but he's got 14 laps on those hard tires. He still has to pit. So, effectively, once the pit stops cycle through, this is the battle for the lead that you're watching here between LR Archie and Scopebuilder. The first place in the championship points at the moment of Scopebuilder. Foxy Red, of course, in the 2nd position. LR Archie. Unfortunately, I cannot see where he is winding up in the point standings as I'm looking on the board right now. Rossi is now pitted, and he's taking the medium tires, so he's going to go all the way on the medium tires. It's going to be 12 laps for him. Back just momentarily to check on Foxy Red, riding on board with him. Of course, you see absolutely nothing in front of you. He sees nothing in front of him. He is 6 seconds behind this battle. Scopebuilder, I think he's slowly but surely kicking it into high gear here. I think he's trying to chase down Archie. Tamworth Fox now with another 3-second time penalty from the stewards. Cliffy has now made his pit stop. Let's see what tires he elects to take here. It looks like he is fitting the medium tires. Cliffy on the medium tires now. He's going to the end of the race. Going to be about 11 laps on those tires. 10 to 11. Scopebuilder getting even closer now to LR Archie. Really took advantage of that DRS zone. now he's in that dirty air. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do anything here. He's got another DRS zone coming up here in just a moment. He'll be able to take advantage of it, but will he be close enough to make a move on Archie? As the gap is now 0.6 seconds. It was all the way down to 0.3. Scopefielder using that slipstream to get up to Archie, but will not be able to make the pass this time around. Still approximately half a second behind. Really nothing going on there. However, back in the pack, we have a battle heating up between the Toro Rosso of TB and the Red Bull of Zyman. This is for the 10th position. This is for points. This is for a points-paying position here. So this battle could get interesting. Going to keep our eye on the time interval between the leaders up there as we watch this battle. A Red Bull versus a Red Bull, essentially. Toro Rosso and Red Bull. Of course, it doesn't look like Zyman is really going to be able to make a move. Of course, he looks like he's just really trying to follow behind TB at the moment. X Rossi has now set the fastest lap of the session, a 1:34.188. He's on those medium tires. Where is he on the board right now? In the 8th position at the moment. 6 seconds behind his nearest competitor. But that is still points. If he can hold on to that fast lap. Now going back to the battle for the lead as Scopefielder is starting to close that gap on Archie just a little bit here. Running on board with Scopefielder. You see that name above Archie's head just getting bigger. We'll be entering another DRS zone here very shortly. As we round this very tight hairpin, going back down the final straightaway, or the front straightaway rather, in the DRS zone is Scopefielder. Will he be able to make anything of it? His tires are only 1 lap older than Archie, so they have relatively the same age on their tires. But will that make the difference? Is now Clippy 7765 sets the fastest lap with a 1:33.972. Scopefielder getting really close to Archie. Archie not having it. He's defending his position very well, but Scopefielder might just get him here soon. But Archie is just so much better out of this section than Scopefielder is. And going into this DRS zone, that plays into Archie's hands very, very well. He just increases the gap enough to keep Scopefielder behind him. Still half a second separating these drivers. Meanwhile, the battle between Zyman and Toro Rosso of TB, that has not changed at all. However, as we go back to check on it for a moment, it looks like White Fountain is slowly getting into this mix here. Maybe just a little bit. It's the Toro Rosso of White Fountain in front of the Toro Rosso of TB. And he is in front of the Red Bull of Zyman still, so really no battles for position here. Meanwhile, Cliffy set the fastest lap again with a 1:33.745. He is in the 4th position. He is on medium tires, and he is chasing down 2nd place in the points, Foxy Red. And Cliffy, in his debut in the F1 Equal League, might just get a podium. it is definitely not out of the question, and we're going to keep an eye on him here as he is closing in on Foxy Red, riding on board with him, and you see that name getting ever so bigger in the DRS zone now, and he is close enough. And there you have it. He activated the DRS. He's using that slipstream to get close to Foxy Red. He's not going to be able to make the pass this time, but definitely took advantage of everything he could there with that slipstream and with the DRS. Cliffy might very well be getting a podium, and in fact, my prediction is he will get by Foxy Red because he is just closing that gap ever so much each and every corner. He thought about making a move there, but he thought better of it. Not really the best place to make an overtake. Coming up to this next DRS zone, they're going to have to round that hairpin going down the front straightaway here in just a couple corners. Will they be able to hold it? Will Cliffy get by Foxy Red, or will Foxy Red be able to defend? Foxy Red is undoubtedly going to be going to the inside of the track, the inside lane. Cliffy going around on the outside, riding on board with him, and now looking at this battle, Foxy Red defending for now, but they are side by side and wheel to wheel as Cliffy on the inside has the preferred line, and Foxy Red goes just a little bit wide. Scopefielder now with a 3-second time penalty. He is in the second position. Still, Cliffy and Foxy Red side by side and wheel to wheel, but now Cliffy has gotten in front of Foxy Red. Foxy Red trying to go back on the offensive to get by Cliffy, but I don't think it's going to work. His tires are just not going to allow him to do that. But it's going to be close as Foxy Red, he has DRS and he is going for that move. He is on the inside of Cliffy, side by side and wheel to wheel again as this Alfa Romeo and McLaren. Now Cliffy moved back down to the 4th position. Foxy Red in the 3rd position. The Alfa Romeo is back in 3rd. Foxy Red 2nd place in the points, and he is wanting to ensure that he stays at least 3rd place in this race. But he is getting an enormous amount of pressure from the McLaren of Cliffy, and Cliffy is really going to try hard to get by him. We're going to ride on board with Cliffy until he tries to make his next move, and it's going to be very, very soon as Foxy Red goes just a little bit wide. Cliffy thought better of making it overtake that time. Very shortly, we're going to round the hairpin, just a couple of corners. Cliffy trying to stay close to Foxy Red, trying to take advantage of that slipstream just whenever he can. Going around the hairpin now and going down the front straightaway in the DRS zone. Cliffy using that DRS and Cliffy using the slipstream. He is going to try to make a move on Foxy Red going into turn 1. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think he has enough speed at the moment, but he is going to stay right there as Foxy Red. He gets a little bit loose, but he holds on to it and he does not go wide this time. Cliffy and Foxy Red still battling it out here. Lap 22 of 27. Approximately 5-6 laps to go. Foxy Red still in 3rd. LR Archie, meanwhile, still in the 1st position. No change up there, but Scopefielder is getting ever so closer. We're going to look at that battle here in just a moment. There you see Scopefielder on board just behind LR Archie. In fact, Scopefielder has gotten even further away. Not sure what happened there, so this is the battle right here. LR Archie might just have this win. We're not sure yet. Cliffy going by. He went by Foxy Red. Will he clear him? Yes, he does. He went by on the outside. A nice pass from Cliffy and the McLaren, but Foxy Red in the Alfa Romeo, he is fighting back and fighting back hard. Foxy Red with the preferred line going into this corner, but Cliffy with the preferred tires. He is on the outside, trying to do a crossover move. There was a little bit of contact between them two. Side by side and wheel to wheel again is the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren. Cliffy now with the advantage, but Alfa Romeo has the better line. Foxy Red does. Now Cliffy has the better line. That is just the nature of these S's, of these long sweeping corners. About to round the hairpin, go down the final straightaway for yet another time. In the DRS zone, Cliffy obviously very close to take advantage of that DRS. He's also taking advantage of that slipstream, and he is going to make a move on the outside of Foxy Red. They are side by side and wheel to wheel again going into turn 1. Foxy Red really on the defensive, trying to defend this line, and Foxy Red goes wide. Cliffy might have pushed him wide. I did not see it, but they are still side by side and wheel to wheel. This is some really hard racing for the F1 Equal League. Foxy Red, he actually cut the corner. Foxy Red just went off the track, cut the corner. 3-second time penalty to Foxy Red. That's going to play into Cliffy's hands, who is now in the 3rd position. LR Archie now with another 3-second time penalty. I think that is 2 for him and at least 1 for Scopefielder. Scopefielder might still have this win in the bag. We're not sure. It looks like it's going to come down to time penalties now. And if Cliffy can get within 3 seconds of Scope, he might even have second here today. I don't think Cliffy has any time penalties. Of course, I'm not sure. We will find out all of this at the end of the race. Foxy Red still giving chase, but I just don't think his tires are in it anymore. Of course, very soon, Cliffy's medium tires will start to wear at least a little bit, and maybe the hards will have more of an advantage, but even so, those hards are older than the mediums. Though by far the driver with the oldest tires in this race is White Fountain. He's on hard tires for 21 laps. He's running in 9th position. Not sure what's going on there. But in the 9th position, approximately 1.5 seconds ahead of the Red Bull of Zyman. In fact, just as I mentioned that, White Fountain now going into the pits, probably going to fit the soft tires, I would assume, as we are only 4 laps from the finish here. Going back to the lead now, as you see LR Archie, Scopefielder about 1.2 seconds behind Archie. Alfa Romeo versus Renault. Of course, 8 seconds behind Scopefielder is Cliffy in the McLaren, but he is not going to be a factor in this battle. LR Archie making that track as wide as he possibly can. Getting a good entry into that corner, followed by Scopefielder in the Renault. Gonna ride on board with him. Rounding the final corner for the 3rd to last time. It's going to be lap 25 of 27 this time around. 3 laps to go in the French Grand Prix. Now, Scopefielder is your points leader in this series. Driving hard, trying to get by Archie. Of course, both Archie and Scopefielder have time penalties. I don't know which one has more. I'm also not sure if Cliffy in 3rd has a time penalty or not. But Cliffy driving hard. He shrank the gap down to 7.8 seconds now. Granted, he still will not be a factor in this battle physically, maybe only through time penalties. Of course, it's 1.5 seconds now separating Scope and LR Archie. Scope, I think, knows how many time penalties he has versus Archie. Maybe, just maybe. Going through these long, sweeping corners. About to approach the hairpin that goes down the front stretch to coming to 2 to go this time around. LR Archie still in command of this race. .5 seconds still separates Archie and Scopefielder. Both drivers in the number 19 car. Wow, that's actually confusing. Luckily, they're in different models. So we got Alfa Romeo versus Renault. Very easy to tell them apart that way. Riding on board with Scopefielder. He is going to enter the DRS zone, but he's not close enough to take advantage of it. In fact, he's even further back than he was a lap ago. I think maybe his tires are just starting to give out. Meanwhile, in the 3rd position, Cliffy is now got the gap between him and Scopefielder down to 7.6 seconds as White Fountain sets the fastest time with a 1:32.556. He pitted for soft tires, so apparently he was going purely for the fastest lap. Perhaps, I'm not sure. Scope Builder now shrink the gap down to 1.4 seconds. Approaching the hairpin yet again, and now it is the last lap. White flag in the air. LRRG in the Alfa Romeo leads Scope Builder in the Renault by 1.3 seconds as they're going down into turn 1. LRRG, he knows that all he needs to do is have a few mistake-free corners, and he will cross the line first, and then time penalties will decide the rest. Scope Builder, I think, knows that Archie has more time penalties than he does. Maybe that's why he is backed off. However, it's also very possible that his tires just wore out in the DRS zone now, but Scope Builder not close enough to take advantage of it by any means. There you see Archie in that Alfa Romeo on the curbs, trying to drive hard. Going through these long sweeping S's for the final time in this race. Approaching the hairpin. Scope Builder just not close enough to do anything. 1.4 seconds behind Archie. Through the hairpin now. And onto the final straightaway. LRRG in the Alfa Romeo will cross the line first, but where will he end up on the board? He will end up in the second position. Scope Builder winning this race officially due to time penalties acquired by RG. Scope Builder winning this race by a gap of 1.6 seconds. Cliffy making his debut here today for the F1 Equal League finishes with a podium in the third position. Congratulations to Scope Builder on your win. Congratulations to Archie. Congratulations to Cliffy on your podium. Scope Builder increases his lead, his points lead. Foxy Red second in the points. Not sure where he's going to end up now. He finishes in the fourth position. Aaron JS gets a solid run with a fifth position. Rossi, a decent run as well in the sixth. Tamworth Fox, who was our pole sitter, drops all the way back down to the seventh position. Simon in the Red Bull in 8th, CPI Alex in 9th, TB in the 10th position. And stay tuned, viewers, for interviews with the top 3. There you see the virtual drivers celebrating their win and podium. And our official results: Scope Builder in first, LRRG in second, Cliffy in third, Foxy Red fourth, Aaron JS in fifth, X Rossi in sixth, seventh is Tamworth Fox, seventh is Zyman, CPI Alex in ninth, TB in 10th, White Fountain in 11th, IXE Fun in 12th, M Doran 13th, and Yas in 14th, both of them with DNFs. Unfortunate for them. And like I said, stay tuned. We will momentarily have interviews with the race winner and podium finishers. I have to invite them to a party. Going to check on the party screen here in just a minute. Nobody has joined just yet. Alright, Scope Builder has now joined the party. Scopefielder, can you do me a favor and suggest Cliffy and Archie to this party so that I can interview them as well? I don't have them on my friends.
Yeah.
Alright, I have an invite sent to Cliffy. See if he can join. Now I have it. Alright, now I have an invite sent to LR Archie. So while we're waiting for the others to join the party, Scopefielder, you pulled off another win here today. And you did it mainly by the way of time penalties. Archie acquired more time penalties than you, and it was about a 1.6 second gap. But tell us about your strategy and how your race went today.
I think to start with, it was pretty obvious for me to go for the mediums, especially when it rained. And then it's just 11 laps was the plan of mediums, and that's what I did. Didn't want to overcut Archie because I wanted to stay within his DRS, so went for the hards on lap 11, then got out right behind him, and then I just stayed there until I tried to make an overtake, and then I lost a bit of time there. So, but he had one more penalty, so it worked out in the end.
Now, if those penalties weren't on the board for either of you, would you have maybe been pushing harder there toward the end to try to get in front of him, or do you think that Archie had it in the bag?
I mean, I was about to make an overtake on him, and then we had a slight contact, which made me like half spin, so I lost that DRS range within a second. So then it was like one and a half maybe, and we were very equal in pace, so I couldn't really catch that in, even though it stayed like 1.5 for the remainder of the race. So I think we were very similar in pace, and obviously he finished ahead of me, but I was lucky that he had one more penalty.
Now, Archie, you finished second by lieu of, of the penalties. But tell us about your race. I know obviously you'd rather be sitting on the top step of the podium right now, but these time penalties are just something that happens. But just tell us about your race and how it went for you, because if they weren't on the board, I really feel like, obviously you would have won because you crossed the line first physically. So just tell us about your race.
Yeah, start was pretty annoying, I guess. I was stuck behind the Tamworth for a while, but I eventually got past that after a little battle. And then the pit stops came around. Pretty lucky to get the overcut. It was like the gap stayed the same, like even before he pitted, so it was still around 1.5. But then got a penalty after I came out of the pits, and then one after at the chicane. So that kind of ruined my race. I was just hoping for like a puncture or another penalty for Scope, but it didn't happen. So.
And has Cliffy, let's see, we're going to check here momentarily. Sorry if no one can hear. Cliffy has not joined this party yet, but he finished third in his debut here. Now, Cliffy, he started on the hard tires because he didn't really get a good lap in. And so then he went really long on the hard tires, then chose medium tires. Were either of you were you both confident in your pit strategies, or at any time were you maybe second guessing the pit strategies?
I think we had the best strategy. It's always great to get like an undercut. You gain a lot of time there, so I think it's better to pit earlier than if you start on the hards, then you get the big overcut. So yeah, I think we had the best strategy today, both of us.
Well, I mean, you certainly proved it. You are finishing 1-2. It seems like you all are usually top 3, top 5 each and every week. So congratulations to both Scopefielder and LR Archie. Good job to you two in the race today. And unless you have any parting words, I will see you next week.
Nope,
yeah, thank you. Yeah, bye.
There. Oh, you have a good night, guys. Thanks to Scopefielder and Archie, and thanks to all of the drivers who drove in the race tonight. Congratulations to each and every one of them. I hope that they're all satisfied, Granted, I know everyone would love to win, but there can only be one winner. And thank you, all the viewers on Twitch, for watching the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League. I am Tim, and until next week, I will see you, and peace out. And remember, I am also commentating with Malk on Tuesdays for the Performance League, which he streams on his Twitch channel, and my view is streamed on this channel. So if you want to watch that, feel free to tune in. And until then, have a good night, everybody.